Hey everyone, right here. As you can see, the title of this video is the holiday edition of this series. And it's a very important video for me because I know how tough and hard it can be for family members dealing with alcoholics during the holidays. But I want to keep it lighthearted right now, and I want to ask you all a question. What was your favorite memory during the holidays? Whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas, what was your favorite memory growing up during the holidays? And I'll go first. Thanksgiving was always special. I don't know if it was knowing that I have a day off of school, mom and dad are going to be home from work, the parade's going on in the background, seeing Snoopy and all the characters on the floats and the balloons. Uh, just the smells of my parents cooking these awesome meals, them asking me for help, peeling potatoes or helping make the casseroles, knowing that we were going to have family over later on in the day, and then just knowing Christmas was right around the corner. And as a child growing up, I strongly believe that the Christmas magic that we felt as kids was our parents. They were the spirit that made Christmas what it was. And I don't know, as you get older, especially if you've had things happen in your life, it makes it harder as you get older to have that same magic. Um, and especially me with two kids, I feel like I've definitely lost a good chunk of that magic. Everything going on with mom, but I try to be strong, right? I try to keep the magic strong for my kids, moving forward through their childhood, and it helps. It almost helps heal me also, because seeing their faces light up, um, trying to be that magic for them, it's it's a good feeling, and you almost feel like you almost feel like who's the Grinch when he his heart thaws out. So this episode right here is gonna be one of the reasons why I really wanted to start this whole series, because for the past 5, 6, 7 years, ever since I made that first video and seeing the amount of comments from people saying that that video helped them, I know personally that the holidays are so hard dealing with a loved one that's an alcoholic, and I just know that making this video was going to help others not feel so alone. And I want to get some perspective from recovering alcoholics also, that as I'm telling my story, I want to hear your perspective. So I guess the first thing that we'll talk about is the early stages, right? To where your family member or your friend, you notice them drinking more. So now at holidays, now at Thanksgiving, Christmas, they drink more than they used to, right? And it's becoming a bit of a problem. They're either acting out, because alcohol can make people either goofy, it can make people goofy, it can make people angry, or just kind of in between. But unfortunately for us, mom was a wine drinker, and her wine made her mean. When mom was drinking vodka, she was this bubbly, you know, person, right? But annoying, really annoying. But when mom was drinking wine, Chardonnay and stuff like that, whoo, she would say some mean things, and it's just like, man, this is not mom. But now as time progressed, and as each year would go on, mom would get almost more annoying and more annoying, to the point where you would start to go to Christmas, you would start to go to Thanksgiving, and you would just wonder, like, what's going to happen this year. And almost to the point where I don't want to say you didn't want them to come, but it was just really hoping that something was going to flip in their head. Something was going to flip, and they were going to decide not to drink that day, which never really happened. But that's what I really noticed on the early stages of mom's alcoholism, was just being really annoying during the holidays. And it's a shame because it really, makes almost a switch in your own head flip and think like, like, these were supposed to be my favorite moments with family, and now it's, I don't know, there's a cloud over the holidays now. So now we fast forward a few years, and Dad is coming to the holiday parties alone. Mom has vertigo, or at least that's what she's telling Dad to tell everybody. So for the first couple times it happened, Dad would show up to either Thanksgiving or Christmas by himself, and we'd be like, where's Mom? And he would say, "Oh, mom's feeling dizzy. She says she has vertigo, so she's just gonna go lay down and try to take it easy for the night." And the first few times it happened, we were worried about Mom. We told Dad, "Well, tell Mom we miss her, and we'll see her during the week. We'll stop over and say hi, but tell Mom we feel, or hope she feels better." And as time went on, and it happened more, we just realized that no, Mom couldn't come. Like, she was too drunk to come or too hungover to come. And my dad is a very introverted person. So for him to show up to these family events without Mom, I know he had to feel very awkward to have to, essentially lie to everybody, and try to act like everything was normal when, my brother and sister and I, we were not, we weren't dumb to what was going on. And as time went on, we became a little bit more outspoken about it to Dad. And, he would start to get more annoyed, as time went on. But what made it harder was, that's when I feel like I started to really get the resentment around the holidays. Not so much anymore. I mean, in a way, yes, because Mom isn't here with us anymore. But while Mom was here, that's where I really started to get some resentment, and just kind of, because I just knew in that moment that holidays weren't going to be the same anymore. My son, because I think I mentioned before, but my daughter wasn't born until after my mom passed away. So thinking about my son not being able to do everything with grandma that a grandma is supposed to do with her grandkids during the holidays, that always bothered me. And like I said, it was just the resentment, knowing that holidays just weren't going to be the same anymore. And as time went on, Dad just started looking more tired and tired. And I can remember one Christmas in particular. He showed up, and he didn't even have to say anything by this point. He didn't even have to say why Mom wasn't coming, why Mom wasn't there. I remember him walking, into the house, and he just looked tired. He just looked heartbroken. And, my sister just went up and gave him a hug, and he started crying and saying sorry that, Mom wasn't wasn't there, and just trying to reassure him that it wasn't his fault, and that he was doing the best that he could for us. Like looking back now, he was doing the best that he could for the rest of his kids and grandkids. But it was definitely wearing on him pretty hard at that point. All right, so this is the part of the video where we're going to wrap things up, and we're going to recap what we talked about earlier in the video. So mom's drinking early on at holiday parties, just getting more annoying, more mouthy, just meaner, and just kind of wishing that she might have stayed home, right? To advancing to where she did stay home because she was drinking too much, or she was just flat out drunk and she couldn't come, and then missing her at these get-togethers, to then eventually her being moved into an assisted living facility and the family going to her to visit, which could be traumatizing to the grandkids if they remember. I haven't talked to my son about that. If he remembers going to any of those places. But I know for me, it's traumatizing just to see, your parent in that sort of condition. It's rough, but this is where we're going to look back and try to guide you guys into what I would have done different. So, what I would have done differently in the beginning, I wouldn't have taken things to heart so much when mom was drinking and saying things that I know she didn't mean. Looking back on all that, I would have just really tried to brush things off and dealt with the issue after the holiday, because the day of Christmas, the day of Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, when you're there with family, you don't want to make a big deal out of everything, right? You don't want to stir up the hornet's nest. So I know there are times where I visibly got, upset, and, my brother and sister, they had gotten upset. And, but looking back now, I would have probably tried to play it off, right? And deal with it after the holidays, because you don't want to just put more stress on yourself or your family members at the events. And then moving forward to when mom was no longer coming to the parties, I would have supported her more, right? I wish I would have either called her up and just told her, hey, mom, we miss you, we love you, we hope you're feeling better, and just left it at that. It's so easy to say now what I would have done rather than living it then. But if I could go back, I would have been a lot more supportive to mom, rather than just harboring resentment and anger over the situation. So that's a big thing that I would tell you, is if you're missing a loved one through the holidays, just give them support. Just let them know that you love them, you're there for them, and you miss them. But just give them support, because they need it more than you think. And then the third thing is something that I didn't really realize until I was talking about it in this video, and that is supporting my family members. Um, Knowing how hard it was on me that we were going through all this with mom, I don't feel like I don't feel like we were as supportive to each other as we could have been. We all knew what was going on, but I feel like we could have been more supportive to dad, especially, with everything he was going through. It's so easy to look at it one way, but after the fact, after it's all said and done, looking at it like dad still had to go home after the party, and he had to go home and take care of mom. Um, Selfish of us, selfish of me, to not really think of how dad was doing at that particular time. So if a loved one, in your family is, you're all going through this, it's definitely a family. It's definitely a family thing. You just be as supportive as you can to one another. Especially during the holidays, it gets so tough, sometimes not to take out, any stress on each other. So just be as supportive to each other as you can. And then the last thing I think I would do differently is to just be more in the moment and not dwelling on the fact that we're missing somebody that should be there at the party. Um, just try to make the best out of the situation. I know it could be easier said than done, but just look at it as it's not your fault. It's not your fault that they're not there, and you're there to have as good of a time as you can and make the best memories as you can with your family that is there and present. Because really, after it's all said and done, that's all you'll have of your family members is the memories. So I would go back and I would have just made it the best that I could, given the situation. I would have supported my dad a heck of a lot more. I would have supported my sister and my brother a lot more, and whether they needed it or not, I would have definitely been there more for them. And then I would have definitely supported mom a lot more and called her more often during those times where she didn't show up, instead of being upset or angry and just, kind of blow it off. I would have called mom more. And, even if it was for a quick, hey, mom, we miss you. You know, hope dad told you everything that happened at the party. Hope dad filled you in. We missed you, and, love you, and we hope that you feel better. Yeah. So I really hope that this video is going to help you guys. If you are a recovering alcoholic, please, in the comments, drop down if what I talked about hit home in a way, and what else we could do as family members to help you during these times. That's really one of the big things, is we need to have the conversation of how to help you, the recovering alcoholic or the current alcoholic who feels bad for not coming to these, to the family events anymore. We need to know how to make you feel better, how to make you feel more included, because the shame and the guilt that I've realized that you guys feel is it's pretty immense. So to you recovering or current alcoholics, drop it down in the comments, please, what we can do as family members to help you guys during this time, because it's hard for us. It's got to be hard for you. And if we know how to help you, that's all we want to know, is to how we can help you, whether you do need space, whether a phone call just to say, hey, we miss you, we love you, hope you feel better. Just, it's hard for everybody in this situation. It's definitely a family illness. It's definitely a family grieving process. And if we could all come together for one another, it would just make everything so much easier for everybody. All right, everyone, that's the video. I hope it helps anybody out there who might be going through this situation. I hope it helps guide you a little bit, and to not feel so alone or upset and angry, to take it from somebody who's been there and wishes that they could go back and do it a little differently. So I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving, a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and just be safe, everyone. Be healthy, and I love y'all, and I hope we're going to move in better times in the future.